Hello, angel babies. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Trisha, and this is Trisha's Temple. I'm happy that you're here. The mirror, the old identity, has shattered. And you are looking down at the pieces, wondering which of them you want to collect and bring into the next version of you. Which of them feel like they're actually a part of who you are, or if they're just a part of a script that was handed to you. This reading was inspired by true events. I was having a hard time sleeping and I woke up and then I got back in my bed and then my bed literally fell apart. The footboard fell onto the mirror that was sitting on my vanity and shattered the mirror. And it was like all of these little things were happening that I then collected and created a meaning from. That I was having a hard time sleeping, the bed falling apart, the mirror shattering, the fact that it was sitting on my vanity. And all of these things separate may not have caught my attention or would have just been like, oh yeah, that happens. But it's my personal belief that we give meaning to the events in our lives, or we can. And in this particular instance, it felt significant to me. It felt like, hey, what's happening right now wants your attention. And it feels like this collective is going through a huge identity shift. That for a long time, there may have been reflections that were false, even harsh. I'm not one to get into dark magic or people projecting evil things onto you, but I think that there may have been a time when you were surrounded by people who weren't looking out for you or didn't project the kindest things onto you. And now that is changing. You're moving into a time, oh, interesting, the 9 of challenges. So like I was saying, I was having a hard time sleeping. So maybe you've been having sleep disruptions, nightmares, struggling to get restful sleep. Things are coming up to the surface at nighttime or in moments of stillness when you're trying to just sit down to rest, when you are driving, when you're taking a shower. And it's like you almost can't quite catch a break. The things that go bump in the night are feeling a little bit more spooky and haunting. And those things are your subconscious fears and wounds. And they're saying, hey, I'm ready to be seen and heard now. And it's actually a sign that you have created more safety and you have created more stability in your life, even though it's really uncomfortable right now. Okay, so what did the mirror reflect back? What old projections, narratives, hexes, evil eye, what did they magnify or exaggerate? Okay, this card really likes to come out from this deck. strength. And I've told this multiple times with this card, but there may have been some, it's kind of giving like your power, your strength, the gifts, the sensitivities, the spiritual abilities that you have that have been somewhat dormant, but may have been coming out, but like less in your control, are now becoming more in your control. So in the past, what was being projected onto you or magnified to you was almost the fear that you had or that other people had of this power. So if you were in a relationship with somebody and they noticed your goodness, they noticed your softness and your sensitivity, that may have been almost a trigger for them because it highlighted to them some of their perceived deficiencies or ways that they were not showing up and loving themselves, ways that they felt less than in some way. And instead of taking ownership of that, instead of allowing that to be an opportunity for them to love themselves more, they projected onto you things like, you're too much. You are really dramatic, you're really sensitive, you're too needy. I just saw 717, which might be a significant number to you. That in this process of you finding yourself again, you may be experiencing some grief around the ways that you had or ended up losing yourself, had to protect yourself, made yourself go quiet or small. The wild or whimsical, magical, childlike, innocent, playful aspects of you didn't have as much safety to play. Okay, what has been finally creating the crack in the mirror? What's been breaking this open for you? Created enough pressure that this belief that you are too much, that you are not enough, whatever the fears and wounds that have been are now coming to the surface and being tended to. What created that pressure? What was the tower moment? Was it some sort of grief or illness? A loving relationship that showed you the difference? Okay, we've got two. We have the Two of Spells and the Seven of Boons. Okay. You had a choice to make. And it felt like it was dividing you, splitting you into maybe. Like, if I continue on this path that I have been on, I could do that. I could continue to be this person that I have been, but I will lose more of myself. I will it wasn't really a choice because it was almost like you were deflating. But you had to consider it. You had to look at it like down the barrel of what that life would actually look like for you, what you would be giving up, who would you become in the process if you stayed on that trajectory that you had been on. And then you looked at the alternative option, which felt maybe a bit daunting. Like, I don't know who I will become. I don't know if that wild, imaginative, powerful part of me will take over and be dangerous, be too much. And maybe it felt like none of the doors presented to you felt like a very good option at the time, or even still. Like if I open this door, like, you're seeing all of the possible negative outcomes that would come if you entered door number one. Like, oh, like my family and my friends, and like I'm gonna lose all of these things, and I'm gonna become this, or I don't know how to do all of these things, or like I don't have the money for that, or like all of these fears and projections were there for you. So what was it that like finally, or what will be the thing that finally pushes you to open the door and go in? Maybe you have even tried out a door or two to see what it's like in there. Like, oh, I'm gonna check out this ideology or this relationship, and it didn't go as you were hoping, and that almost like shut you down even more. Okay, interesting. This feels like this isn't your first rodeo. Like, this isn't the first time your identity has gone through a shift, but this time feels different or significant in some way. Okay, so first of all, what is significant or different about this time? The wide world. Okay. So this kind of feels like you're at ground zero in a way. Like, you've been peeling back a whole bunch of different layers of who you are and shedding so many different illusions and ideologies, projections that people had placed on you. Just the ick and the muck. Maybe even like illnesses or like physical things that had been keeping you, or like attachments to, or like physical situations, like you were living in a certain place and then you moved somewhere that made it more accessible for you to meet that part of you. And then you found a job that made it easier for you to be more yourself and create more, or it made it easier for you to connect to a group of people that were more aligned with you, things like that. But there's something about this particular identity shift that feels like you have done a lot of the groundwork and now you feel like you have so much in front of you, so much possibility of who you could become in front of you, and it feels a little bit like you're teetering, like we were talking about, you're teetering between like I want this. I want something more for myself. Oh, I'm hearing a song. Oh, it's like, is there something more than this provincial life? And just like the feeling of wide open spaces, running, dancing, skipping, creating a life that truly feels fulfilling to you and not being so weighed down by fear. But this one feels like a big leap. Maybe, okay, what is the next step, or what is going to help you to just start moving forward again? Maybe right now you feel like you're kind of still in a decision-making moment. Like, should I stay or should I go? Do I want this or that? Which direction should I be heading? Which project should I pour myself into? Is this relationship really worth my time? Something along those lines. What's going to help you? Four of Challenges. Let's read what this one says. I've never pulled this one from this deck. It's raining. Oh. This is giving Tree of Life. If you know, you know. The forbidding winter forest offers little in the way of comforts or relief. Thorns, icicles, and sharp frozen branches torment the weary traveler. Landmarks are few. Footprints are quickly obscured by flurries. It can feel like you will never escape this fearsome wood. And then you come upon a miracle. In the midst of the gloom shines a green-leafed rowan tree in full berried fruit. Of all the trees in the enchanted forest, rowan offers the most powerful protection from both magical and earthly attacks. The earth around the tree is also green, providing a blessed place of sanctuary and repose. This card shows that there is an opportunity for you to find some peace, even if you still have challenges ahead. Getting out of the winter wood, for one. Determine what sanctuary would look and feel like, and then insist on availing yourself of it. When you are in the midst of conflict, taking a time out can often lead to great clarity and a solution to the strife. There is nothing to be gained by pursuing the problem right now. Meaning at a glance, gathering your inner resources and replenishing. Confirmation burp. Replenishing your spiritual strength, respite, sanctuary in times of trouble, a temporary peace. A closer look. Wanderers have tied scraps of cloth to the trees as grateful offerings for shelter provided to body and soul. Okay, so I think that there may be a bit of desperation, anxiety, overwhelm that's been coming into your energy surrounding making this decision that feels like it has to happen right now or else. Whether this is something that is self-imposed, or you actually do have some sort of timeline, like, oh, I have to decide if I'm gonna take this job offer or not, or I have to decide if I'm going to move to this new place, and like I have to decide by a certain date or they'll give it to somebody else. And this card feels like you're taking a moment to gather yourself, to come back to center, to create a little bubble sanctuary where you are doing something fun, playful, silly. The tying of ribbons reminds me of something that I say often, is that all of the things that I have done throughout my life that I've really enjoyed, whether it's a book that I've read, a movie that I've watched, a conversation that I've had with somebody, something that was meaningful and just kind of took root inside of me, those were like ribbons that I tied on trees, leading me back home to myself. So maybe there's something that you are doing to reconnect to some of those ribbons in your life. Maybe it's looking at old pictures. Maybe it's just watching a show that you used to love back in the day. Maybe it's pulling out old CDs, or listening to an old playlist. Maybe it's spraying a perfume or lighting a candle that you used to use a lot at a certain time in your life that is nostalgic for you. And kind of creating this little atmosphere that's bringing you back into a state of power, that you do know yourself, and that whatever action you do take will be made from that place. That you're not making it from lack, insecurity, anxiety, fear, overwhelm. You're making it from, I'm looking forward to this. Maybe I'm a little bit nervous about how things will go. Maybe it won't go exactly the way I'm expecting, but I'm going to be able to handle it no matter what. Okay. What pieces of the old identity are worth keeping? If any. Child of visions. There's a spider web here. I don't know if you can really see that. It reminded me of this really random episode of, I think it started at Atlantis. I'm a sci-fi nerd. But one of them like walks into a spider web, and then like a leech attaches itself to his neck. And I think that you have that one of the big things that is being dissolved is a fear that something bad is going to happen at like around any corner at any moment, that there's danger in everything. And the alternative, or like what you're keeping, is the wisdom that you made it through all of the things that seemed so scary, so overwhelming, so doomsday, end of the world. That the world did not, in fact, end. And you carried with you a level of playfulness and innocence and aliveness. You have been fighting, and fight's not even the right word. It's like if you were put in a cage, if you were to put a wild animal in a cage, or to like try to tame them, it may eventually happen, right? So maybe you were tamed for a while, but then you reached a point where it was too much for you. The cage, the expectations, the projections, the fear, and what you're taking with you is your spirit, your like, I'm like seeing like a bird flapping its wings. You're leaving with your energy and zest for life. You're reclaiming it. Maybe you've always had a curiosity and wonder and sensitivity that other people frowned upon or tried to snuff out, stamp out, but they weren't able to. You're taking those with you. Okay, what are some of the core values or like your core identity? So this would be like the frame of the mirror. Parts of you that have been with you all along. I think that there is quite a bit of anxiety and confusion, feeling like almost like everything that you were or that you are is scattered. Like, who am I now? What am I? So it might feel good for you to have some pieces that feel like they've always been there. Okay, we have the Keeper of Spells. And we have the Three of Spells. Fire. An inner fire, inner flame that, like we were saying before, might have felt small or like it was being covered up by other things for a while, or that you couldn't safely connect to it. But that has shifted. Something that has always been a part of you, this is really sweet, is that you have wanted to share your fire, your inner light, your creativity, your aliveness with other people. And for it to expand in the process of doing that. Like, I share who I am with you, you share who you are with me, and that creates more light and fire, more passion and excitement for being alive. Something that you have always had a gift for, whether you recognized it or not, is actually keeping the fire alive. That there may have been moments when it felt significantly dimmer than others, but you were always doing things to nurture your fire along the way, even if they didn't feel, even if you didn't know that that's what you were doing at the time, even if now looking back you can see it more clearly than you perhaps could at the time. Things like writing in a journal, things like going outside and looking at the stars, having conversations with people that were not like the people who were keeping you in a cage. And I want to be careful when I say that, because I don't think that it was like, oh, there are some evil captors holding you back from living. I think that we are all products of systems, and those just happen to get passed down. It's not just one person or a few people, it is people. It is systems. But you kept on keeping on, even when it was really, really hard. Okay, Next question is, who are you becoming? Like, what is the new reflection that is going to be reflecting back to you? What's the new mirror? Where is it coming from? And what is it going to show you? One thing is that a lot of what was being reflected back to you came from external sources. Old relationships, old systems, family. And now a lot more of it is going to be sourced from within. But I don't think that you're cutting yourself off from having external mirrors. They are just going to be more honest and compassionate. Less distortion. Okay, we have winter, an ending, recharging, reflection. Reflection. Okay, well, yeah, you are coming to an end of a sorts and a beginning. You may be in this moment right now before you step into the new cycle, the new reflection, and you are taking some time to recharge because the last cycle was a lot. And I don't think that it was just like, oh, the last month or 2 or 3, it might have been that this last cycle is actually closing out a lot of past cycles, a lot of old wounds, relationships, that there may, like we were saying before, that there may have been some big upheaval that created this significant crack in the mirror. So, while you are taking your time to rest and reflect, and I think that there's a reason why you aren't just immediately going into the new. Although sometimes we want to rush on to things being fresh and clean and feeling good, feeling energized. You might not feel that way yet. But when you have taken the time to rest and recharge and reflect, allow things to be laid to rest, what is going to okay, well, that's very on the nose. Summer, expansion and growth. So if you are watching this during the summer, then that could be a sign that it's going to happen during the summertime, that you are having a winter in the middle of your summer. and then you will return to the summertime. But it could also just mean that, although sunflowers I feel like are more like a September thing, I mean, depending on where you live. The sun is coming out and you are going to have fresh energy. You're going to feel like the things that were weighing you down have been lifted. You're not carrying them anymore. You're not carrying them in the same way anymore. I just was like playing with this deck and flipped it to lavender. Tranquility, kindness, and self-care. I think you're offering yourself a lot more of this right now, and in each stage of this transition, that while right now might feel a lot more wintry, maybe gloomy, maybe heavy, maybe things are dying off, you're in the die-off phase, you're offering yourself just as much love in that phase as you will in the summer and sunshine, when you're feeling energetic and like you are enjoying the fruits of your harvest. Okay, I think that there's one more card that wants to come out. Bottom of the deck we have hearth, safety, comfort, and spiritual connection. Who is it that you are becoming, and what are you going to be seeing in this new reflection? That's funny. We got snow, rest, and contemplation. Okay, so it's being driven home, the fact that you're just allowing yourself to rest, and it might be an uncomfortable thing that you're doing, but maybe that is the thing that is going to be reflected back to you, is that for a long time you have been trying to produce something, to do more, to become something else than who you are right here in this moment, that you're trying to, like, although the identity is becoming something new, what's really happening is that you are accepting the parts that are still in pain. You're accepting the parts that are tired. No, I'm hearing like, and the class was like, I'm tired of this, Grandpa. You're moving into and as soon as I started saying moving, you're staying, you are allowing, you are existing as you are. Is there somebody here who has an accent? This version of you trusts yourself. Trusts when you need to take a nap or slow down. Trusts when you want to walk out of the forest and onto the new path. There feels like there's less tug of war energy or pushing you to be somewhere new. Like the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. You're late for a very important date. You're not late for anything. You're right on time for today, for your path. And that's what I have for you today. Thanks for being here. Love you.